Yo, what's up, everyone? Welcome to Birds Deep. This is the Godfrey. We got Cool McCain. We got the NFL genius. We got a ton of stuff going on today. A lot to talk about. Yes, they're coming off the Eagles win, but there's some controversy surrounding that. Depending on how you feel about the game or not. We're gonna give you our grades, but first the introductions. Gene, tell them who you are.
Mean! Whoa! Gene.
Cool. I don't mean to set you up for failure that way. Tell them who you are after that one.
I'm Cool McCain, the guy from Eagles Elite podcast.
All right. So yeah, we had another Eagles victory. They raced to 4-0, right? Should be happy as a fan. There's still room for criticism. Sometimes there's room for philosophy. I probably am going to have a varying philosophy compared to you guys, I guess. But we got grades to give out, previews to give out for the upcoming game, and we're going to talk. We're going to dive in. We're going to take a birds deep. So, shall we start with grades first, gentlemen?
Yes, sir.
All right. So let's we'll leave the defense for last because I could tell Cole was just like simmering over there. Like I can't wait to talk about the D. I could see it on his face. No pun intended. Cole's about the D today. No pun intended. But we'll go offense first, right? Or no, let's go Jalen Hurts first. Let's go Jalen Hurts. I'll start you off on the rotation there, Gene.
I mean, Jalen Hurts was good. I don't think he was great. This is an A- performance for me. He moved the offense the way he needed to. Didn't really turn the ball over. Whenever we needed a big score, he came down and got one. In overtime, when we got the ball, he didn't let go of the ball. He made some big time throws to A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown feasted on Emmanuel Forbes. And I think as a whole, it was an A- performance. It wasn't the greatest performance I've seen from Jalen Hurts, but it definitely was far from a bad one. An A- performance is nothing to sneeze at. I think this was his best game as a passer.
Yeah. I don't disagree.
What Gene said. I don't even say this. What Gene said.
Look at me and Cool agreeing right away. This is not. We don't do this that often. So like we've debated a few times on the show, but me and Cool agreeing right away. That's a fun thing to start.
So let me ask you guys a question. I mean, since you're giving them an A- before I get into my grade, do you feel that they were wrong for going for the touchdown pass at the end of the game?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Oh, controversy. Well, let me give you my grade, and then we'll get into that because that's tied to Jalen Hurts, right? I'm with you. I'm with an A-. I felt like he did very well. I think he passed the ball well when he had to. Obviously, Washington tried to take away the run, and he went to his alpha receiver, and they dominated in that way. And he also was able to utilize Devontae Smith across the middle for very crucial catches at certain points of the game. So I do like how the passing offense looked, especially against a very stout defensive line with the Washington Commanders. So I would say A- as well. I think across the board, we're all giving them an A-. Now let's jump right back into the controversy we have here. And I guess I will be the tiebreaker because you two say, one says, hey, we shouldn't have did it. One says, hey, we should have.
Okay, so I'll start. I don't mind starting there. I think that if you can score a touchdown and you have to make the other team score a touchdown to beat you, you 100% do that. I don't have any. I think the biggest issue I have with it is the referees giving a 15-yard penalty on A.J. Brown for placing the ball down next to Emmanuel Forbes. He didn't stand there and talk shit. He didn't throw the ball at him. He played. First of all, I'm be the first person to get on A.J. Brown on this show. I have. He did not deserve that 15-yard penalty. I think it's absolute BS of the call. I'll get into the officials later because they get an F-. They were putrid as a group. But I feel like if you can score a touchdown, you score a touchdown. You make Sam Howell drive the field and score a touchdown. To be perfectly honest with you, they could have got off that field multiple times on fourth down with Washington driving, including the touchdown drive with no time left when Jahan Dotson, great player, but absolutely pushes off to catch that last touchdown, which no one talked about because the Eagles won the football game. But if you look at that play, he pushes Josh Jobe off. Now, Josh Jobe has terrible leverage on that play. He is supposed to have the sideline. He's supposed to have the outside and funnel Jahan Dotson to the inside. That's a terrible play on his behalf, but we'll get into that a little bit later. But that's a push off. And if you could score 7 points, just score 7 points. If you kick a field goal, you never know what happens if you don't score that touchdown there. If you just get the first down or you just kick the field goal and you run 40 seconds off the clock, it's a lot easier for them to get in the field goal range than it is them to score a touchdown. I have no problem with them scoring a touchdown there.
All right, next. Gene, throw it out there. Cool.
So everything Gene said makes sense if you have a defense that was able to stop anybody for most of the game. So here's the problem. If this defense was as good in week 4 as it was in week 2 or 3, I feel comfortable agreeing with Gene. But the way the defense was playing most of the game, there were a couple of times where they were okay, but most of the game, offense is humming. I want the offense to hold the ball, run the clock down until we have no time left, and kick a field goal. That means you just got to run, whatever, right? Get in field goal range. Let's kick the field goal. Let's make sure we win. I didn't like that because of that. If the defense was handling their business, Gene is completely correct. But I feel like the lack of defensive, just everything for the most part for that game, I feel like we should have been saying, let's hold the ball. Let's put this on the unit that's played the best this game, and let's win this game.
Okay. So my view here is I'm siding with Gene on this one. And the reason why is because, and we'll get into this with the defense later, there is no under any uncertain terms that I just think you could get in trouble, and a lot of coaches do this by doing that. If this was Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady in his heyday, yes, I could see going for the field goal, running out the clock. But with a Sam Howell at the helm, you should 100% absolutely be able to get a stop with time on the clock. And I say you always go for the more points. I think coaches these days get too cute with that, not kicking a field goal, and then saying we'll get the touchdown in the second drive. And, it just kind of blew my mind because I'm like, no, you go for that. Like 100%. I mean, because what if you do that and you miss the field goal?
Well,
right?
Godfrey, can I be honest with you? Your argument makes me want to side more with Cool. That's not why I think that. I think that if they were going against Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Peyton Manning, Joe Montana, I want the 7 any way I can get the 7.
Yeah, you take the 7 if you're going against them.
It's 2nd and 4 on the play, and I think teams get themselves in a lot of trouble. The one part I do agree with it, I think teams get themselves in a lot of trouble by trying to hold clock and not score when they can score. The issue I had has nothing to do with the clock. It has everything to do with our defense not being able to hold any team out of the end zone.
I'm taking a ball out of someone's hands like a Patrick Mahomes. And there is an issue on defense, which we'll get into. But that's just where I'm at. I think the defense should have been able to make a stop. And we'll talk about that Josh Jobe play. I thought the dude was like in the clouds on that play. I'm like, what the hell is he doing? But we'll figure it out. Let's jump to the coach grade, overall offense. Coach, what do you guys give Nick Sirianni? Cool. You want to start out with that?
So I have to ask the preface: are we just grading him as head coach / offense, or as head coach for both sides of the ball?
No, I think it's head coach / offense. That's kind of what we've done for years.
Okay.
Like we didn't grade Shane Steichen. We get Brett. Sorry.
That's fine. I just wanted to make sure I was, because that changes the grade.
Because he couldn't. And the reason why we do that is, and you heard Nick Sirianni talk about this in a press conference recently, is he will chime in and change a play if he thinks they should go in a different direction. And he talked about doing that last game, right? So to me, especially when it comes to the offense, he has his fingerprints on it. Like he may not be calling the play, but he has his fingerprints on it. And then, I forget which play it was, but he said specifically, we're going to do this here. And he overruled Brian Johnson in that situation.
The way I judge Nick Sirianni is if they're ready to play football, if they look prepared, and on the offensive side of the ball.
I just want to be clear.
I judge them defensively if they're lackluster and the effort's not there. I'll judge Nick Sirianni on that, but I won't judge him on defensive scheme or the players that are in, because the defense is fully in Sean Desai's hand.
All right. So, like I said, I just want to make sure for the purpose of this show how we're grading him so that I'm graded according to you guys' grade. I don't grade him that way, but that's fine. That's why I asked.
That is final cool. That's
so,
the gavel.
So, just on the offense, I give Nick Sirianni a B. I feel like running the ball 18 times, non-Jalen Hurts, taking Jalen Hurts runs out of it 18 times with the running backs. I don't care if you're getting the yards or not. Teams need to understand that we will run the ball, and if you give a guy like Swift enough carries, he's going to get you a nice break. So I feel like we went away from the run too much. We went back to that early last year where we kind of were in love with Jalen Hurts throwing the ball and trying to have these big games through the air. I understand people would argue, Washington did a good job of stopping us on the run. Okay, but you still have to tell them, hey, we're going to run the ball. You still have to let them know we're going to run the ball. And I don't think we get a good enough job of that. And also, we still have not decided to actually get Dallas Goedert involved in football games. So you can't get over a B with it, in my opinion.
Okay. I'll go then. I think that he gets a B+. The offense didn't turn the ball over. They looked good. They scored on 70% of their drives. They only had 3 punts in the game, I believe. So they really moved the ball offensively. And those 3 punts, and I'm going to go off on a tangent right here. I think this is the moment. It won't be too long, but I contemplating not watching football anymore after watching the Eagles game and after watching Sunday Night Football. I've never had my tinfoil hat on more than after watching Philadelphia play and after watching the Chiefs-Jets game. It's so obvious that Vegas is in the pockets of some of these officials, and I'm going to get into it right now. That offsides call on Landon Dickerson was pathetic. Cameron Payne has his hand Daron Payne has his hand underneath the football. His helmet is crossed the line of scrimmage. And you called offsides on Landon Dickerson? There was multiple calls in that game, including a PI on a ball that was thrown out of the end zone. They called pass interference. They didn't call illegal contact. They didn't call holding. Those are 5-yard penalties. They called spot fouls of PI on a ball that was thrown out of the end zone, uncatchable. Now, when it happened to A.J. Brown, when he burnt Emmanuel Forbes on the double move, they called illegal contact and not pass interference. There was a lot of really questionable things that happened in that game. Like I said about the last play of the game. Now, granted, Josh Jobs got to be in a better position, but Jahan Dotson full extends, pushes off on that play, and nobody mentions a thing. No one bats an eye. I think that was crazy. So I can't hold Nick to the fire too much. Their offense scored 34 points, playing against 11 members on defense and the Zebras. And look, they won the game. I'm not sitting here saying we won or lost the game because of the officials. I'm just saying that they made that game a lot closer than it should have been. And I put more of that on those officials than I do on the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, the tinfoil hat stuff, yeah, man, you could be right, but I lean toward no, but I do get why people will go there, and it does look that way sometimes. It doesn't look good, and I get it. The grade, I'm going to give them an A-, and I'm going to tell you why I'm a little bit above you guys. I thought they did a really good game plan, and I thought when they had to do certain things, they did it. For example, when they got the ball in space to DeAndre Swift, that was a very key play where he caught the ball. That's something I've been calling for this team to do for weeks, is get the ball outside to your running backs, specifically DeAndre Swift, get him involved in the passing game. And it wasn't a lot, but it was a play. It was a positive play, and it was very important to that drive. And I think they started to gain. They're gaining a rhythm, and that's good. I feel like the passing rhythm is starting to happen, and then their roles are settling. I think Dallas Goedert's going to get involved, but Devontae Smith going across the middle, you had to get that reception. I think it shows balls. I shows that they have the ability to come from behind, which I say a lot of quarterbacks lack that ability and people ignore it, a la your Dak Prescotts of the world. Daniel Jones can't come back from 1 point. And, Sam Howell, he's actually shown more in as far as the division than I thought he would show. But a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL have that problem in offenses. I dare say the 49ers, if they get down by double digits, they're going to have problems coming back. The Eagles, however, are showing that ability to have that quick strike and come back. And you're going to need that to compete with the Chiefs of the world who do have quick strike ability. They might not have a 3 kill, though, but they still can make a play happen. And so I'm happy to see that kind of start to develop and show and get in rhythm. So I'm giving them an A-. I'm happy with Coach Sirianni. I'm happy with the way the offense performed. And that's kind of where I'm at. And I'm dropping a gavel on my thought. So that's kind of where I'm at. What about you? So now we got the defense, right?
Yes, sir. Why don't you start us off on the defense?
So the defense, I was kind of mystified by it. Nicholas Morrow. Let me ask you guys a question. Nicholas Morrow had a good game, 3 sacks. Do you think it was impactful for the game? But are you super impressed by that game, by that 3 sacks and the game he had? Like, do you think that was a result of the defense being run a certain way, improperly? I mean, Seth Joyner brought it up. So he was bringing it up. He's like, it's great that he had that. But when you are sending the linebacker, and that's awesome, but you're playing 7 yards off the ball, that's a problem. I mean, and we saw that happen because they were throwing the ball all day long. The funnel defense, I keep talking about the funnel defense. Like, that's how they drove down the last, they're getting in there, they're getting to the quarterback. But if you're playing that far off the ball, what are we doing here? And that's my whole point. Nicholas Morrow had a good game, but at the same time, if you're blitzing linebackers and you keep playing your D-backs that far back, I mean, they're gonna take the hot route. They're gonna do the hot read, and that's what they did. So my problem with the defense here is, they won the game. The secondary obviously is missing Avonte Maddox. Josh Jobe on that play to Dotson, I felt like he seemed confused where he should be going. Right, the coverage
should have been on the outside. It was 100%.
Right,
it was quarters defense. They were supposed to play 4 to the outside. He had help on the inside. Jahan Dotson recognized that and pushed off to the outside. 100%.
Yeah,
I know the defense that they were playing.
Yeah, and so
my
grade for them. I think I pulled my.
But you want me to answer the other question? Let me answer.
Sure. Shoot.
I think that there's a difference between watching the game and looking at the stats.
Correct.
Watching that game, I don't think Nicholas Morrow was a top 4 defender on the Eagles, the defense that game. I don't think he had a terrible game. I don't think he had like this legendary game because he had 3 sacks. Watching the game versus actually looking at the box score is totally different. When I watched that football game, Reed Blankenship jumped off the page. Fletcher Cox jumped off the page. Jalen Carter jumped off the page. That's what I looked at, right? Like, I get it. Darius Slay had a lot of tackles, but when Darius Slay has a lot of tackles, that means a lot of balls are getting caught on him. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's called the
tackles. If it would be better at higher passes defended, and less tackles if he was, stopping the ball. For me,
we could call that the Alex Singleton effect, where he had a lot of tackles, but that's because he shouldn't be making tackles 8 yards down the field. But
I think
for
that.
Me,
good. Sorry.
For me, I would say it was a good game. It was comforting to know at least he was stepping up and taking advantage of the situation. But I liken the Eagles defense to a donut. Donut has a hole in the middle. We have a hole in the middle. Huge hole in the middle. The donuts are shrinking.
Is it a bear claw donut?
Better.
Or is it
no, it's not a bear
donut?
Claw. No. It is an original glazed donut from Krispy Kreme. That's what we are. Yes.
Hot, though. It has to be hot.
We're not hot. We're definitely not hot. Yeah, we're the ones right before they throw them out. Like at the end of the night, they should have got rid of it like an hour ago, but they don't want to make new ones. That's what we are right now. So we have to acknowledge that, we have to accept that, and hope that it doesn't continue. But that's where we are right now. So I think Morrow having a good game is good because that gives you another guy at the linebacker position that can play, when needed to be called upon once we get Dean back, right? But at the same time, my problem is, and the reason why I said, even though y'all don't agree, we should have went for the field goal, ran the clock down, is because the defense last week, it looked as if Jonathan Ganyas embedded himself in the mind of Sean Desai. And I felt like the same guy was there, and I was not happy. So that's why I'm like, don't put that defense on the field. Because here's the problem, right? We argue about the 7 points. Oh, they should have went for it. Should have went for it. What if the Commanders had the testicular fortitude to go for 2 and make it? Then we lose the game.
That's one of the biggest fails ever on Ron Rivera's. Like, you don't go into Philadelphia, tie the game on a last-second touchdown, and not go for 2 there. Like, so you know what they tell you in fights? The better man doesn't always win. But if you have the better man on the ropes, you got to go for broke. And I'll tell you something right now. The Washington Commanders had the Philadelphia Eagles on the ropes, and they did not go for broke.
See, I disagree with that. I'm going to tell you why I disagree with it. You got to look at his position as a coach where he's at right now. If they miss it, he's screwed. People are going to be like, oh, I can't believe you went for that. It's a damned if you do and damned if you don't situation. No. They would have roasted him. I can't see people in DC being the next day like, you know what? That was the right move there, because what's on the line at that point is you tie it up and you're in first place if you can go ahead and win it, right? You get first place.
I completely disagree with you.
He's fighting for his job. Eric Bieniemy is waiting to take it like the Grim Reaper, and he's probably going to take it. And at the end of the day, if I'm him, I'm tying it up. First place is on the line. If that something wrong happens.
That's why in the NBA, when you're on the road, you go for the 3, and if you're at home, you go for 2. It's the same thing. If it in a game where you're down 2, you go to tie on at home, and you go for the 3 if you're on the road, because the better team will prevail the longer the game goes.
He's a good defensive coach, though, in his mind, and he's put money on that defense, right? I mean, I hear you on that, but I don't know. They would have roasted him. I think they would have roasted him. You know, Chris says they wouldn't have. I mean, if it's house money at that point, then basically you're saying in the 4th game of the season, we suck already. We might as well just do it. I mean, I remember when, Doug Peterson went for it that year and everybody roasted him, but it made sense because of where they were at in the season. It was later in the season. Let's just win this game. It was a game against the Ravens.
You think they should have went for it?
No, I think they should have kicked the damn point. Oh, yeah, cool. What do you think?
I think they should have went. Excuse me. I think they should have went for it. And the reason why I think they should have went for it is you had the momentum. You know that sooner or later, you had to do something to try to win that game, right? Win or lose it, ride or die. Sometimes, like I said, you got to have some testicular fortitude, and they don't have any.
Yeah, completely agree with you. Godfrey, I'll tell you this, right? Let me give my grade on Sean Desai real quick. I give Sean Desai a B-. To be clear, 31 points were scored on your defense. I'm not giving him an F. I'm not giving him a D. I'm giving him a B-. I felt like the defense played well, good enough to win. You are correct, though. It's an absolute donut hole of a defense. And the middle, and you know what they're missing in the middle? And you look at these tackle numbers. Zach Cunningham had 13 tackles. Nicholas Morrow had 11 tackles. That doesn't mean they're playing good football. Linebackers get tackled. Correct. They're getting 8 up across the middle. And what I look at, and this is just my personal opinion, what I look at is who is instinctually jumping a route, who is defending something that you didn't expect him to be there, and why is their defense not in the right positions? Who is the quarterback of that defense? Who is the person that's reading the personnel and saying that they're going to do this or they're going to do that? I think the Eagles severely miss Nakobe Dean.
It's funny you say
that person.
It's funny you say that because as well as Nicholas Morrow showed up on the stat sheet, there was a play, and I'm trying to remember where I said to myself, man, he was out of position, and if Nakobe Dean was in there, that wouldn't have happened. I remember saying that to myself because he just didn't, he took advantage of the situation, but the guys that are playing for the people that were hurt before, like your Avonte Maddox, and they were subbing for him, and then you got, Nicholas Morrow's in there, and as good a job as he did, I don't feel like they had that QB in the middle. And they've been doing it for a couple. It's a defensive philosophy by the organization to let people get all that over in the middle in between the 20s. I mean, we've seen it for years now.
I think the play that you're talking about is the 27-yard pass to Logan Thomas.
Yeah.
I think that's the play you're talking about because I looked at the same thing. It looked like he bit in on a play, and it went right above.
He was out of position. Yeah, and I don't think Nakobe Dean would have been out of position. And I think that's where him playing, and this is why they cut Nicholas Morrow, or they put him on a practice squad or quite him, I can't remember, and brought him back after Kobe Dean got hurt, and that's why they went with Kobe Dean over him because
they're
of that
so
ability.
scared about the middle that they moved Bradbury to the nickel corner.
I don't like that either.
Well, I like it if you're going to play Keely Ringo or Eli Ricks on the outside. I don't.
But they're not. So it sucks.
Man,
exactly. I agree with you. I agree with you. That you've seen they brought in Bradley Roby, right, to the practice squad because they want to play him.
I hope they put him this Sunday at nickel corner. I'd rather have him.
Man, he's been abused so many times in the NFL when he has played. I mean, dude,
I'd rather have him than Joe.
He's barbecued, please, man. That's the book on the top of the TV that you never read. Like me, let me blow the dust off this.
But Godfrey, here's what I would do, and maybe he's not ready yet. They see more in practice than I do. I'm telling you right now, there's a reason the undrafted Eli Ricks made this football team. This is going to sound really stupid, but I'm going to say it. He had generational talent at LSU. Generational talent. He got hurt. He had a bad season in Alabama, and he fell off everyone's board. He's back. He looked great in the preseason. Jumped around on a pick six. He was their best defender versus Indianapolis when none of the stars played. Eli Ricks played. He looks great. He looks to me like LSU Eli Ricks. I want Eli Ricks on the field. I don't care how stupid it sounds. You have two guys that were projected to go in the first round at cornerback that went in the fourth and undrafted. I think they're steals. I think
Bradbury. I don't think Bradbury's a good fit for the slot. I don't think he's a good fit. I think we're forcing it. We're forcing it by doing that. He's better on the outside. You're going to have to acclimate one of these kids to play the slot because let's be honest, as much as I love Avonte Maddox, he is a frequent on the injured list every year, and he might be gone for the whole season. So they're going to have to make some kind of adjustment schematically to who they put in there. And I just feel like at the end of the day, what they came up with last week was the crux of the defense not performing properly, and they got roasted over the middle for it.
Cool. What do we?
2 words for you: who needs to play corner slot? All jokes aside, Sidney Brown. That's who needs to be in the corner. That's who needs to be the slot corner. He did it in college.
He can 100%
play.
Yeah, he can
play.
That's
who needs to do it because we have to have someone that you can trust. Ringo and Ricks should not be sitting on the bench while we have guys out there with less talent playing. That's ridiculous. You should find a way to incorporate at least one of those guys. If you're not going to do it, why did you draft them? Why did you keep them? Why didn't you put them on the practice squad if they're never going to play?
They want Sidney Brown in that
safety
spot.
Or somebody. Hey, put Sidney Brown in the spot there. That's fine.
He's just hurt. That's the problem there. I mean, but
he's back now.
Yeah, he's back now.
But listen, they got to start incorporating the. I think you're right, and they got to start taking opportunities to incorporate them in the game. I mean, listen, I know there's some development and there's an adjustment to the speed of the game, especially when you're going from college to pros. So that's going to be there with the rookies specifically. Not everybody adjusts right away, but it will take a little bit of time. They probably wanted to ease them in as the season goes on, and they probably in the back of their mind figure Avonte Maddox might miss 5 or 6 games. Unfortunately, it looks like he's going to miss the whole season. So at the end of the day, I think they were set up correctly. I just don't like how they deployed the chess pieces last week to take care of that problem. And that was Terry McLaurin was eating her lunch, Jahan Dotson toward the end, Curtis Samuel. I'm like, come on, guys. Like, Sam Howell, I'll give him credit. Like, he played a lot better than I thought he would. But we can't just have this funnel going over the middle. And like, I was surprised that they put up that many points. So my grade is a C+. That's where I'm at with the whole schematic.
Okay. What is your grade on Sean Desai? Cool.
I'm giving him a flat C. He was average at best. He had some trashy plays. He had some solid plays, right? I think you did not have the correct people in the correct place. That hurts. Again, I really was going to go lower when I first thought about it, but then I said I have to take out my Gan-ass bias and give him a real grade based on him. Yes. I cannot stand that individual, but I don't want to see us going back to playing the 7 yards off on the last drive again. And I know Darius Slay came out. I don't know if you guys saw it or not. And he was saying that, that was by plan because we're trying to make sure we kept him out of the end zone. Guess what? You didn't keep him out of the end zone.
I think a lot of that has to do with Josh Joe being in the wrong position. But I get you.
Yeah, the wrong position is on the field.
That's fair. I think if Eli Ricks or Keely Ringo are on the field that play, I don't think there's any chance that ball gets caught.
I mean, I agree. I'm just
my personal opinion, though.
I don't know what's happening with not using those guys. Either one of them. I mean, if you want to say like, oh, Ricks is having a hard time adjusting or Ringo, but if they're both having a hard time adjusting, then we need to have a talk with the DB coach and Sean Desai. Like, what's happening?
I couldn't agree with you more there. I look at the penalties, 11 for 80 in the game. I watched a lot of them. I know that it's really 8 for 17 Washington was on third down, 2 for 2 on fourth. They were 10 for 19 on third and fourth down efficiency. You can't allow that. So you're right. I get it. All right, well, let's move on to previewing the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams we're headed out to Los Angeles to play a Rams team that before the season started, a lot of us chalked this game up as a win. But with the emergence of Puka Nacua, and some people think Cooper Kupp might play this Sunday, he's back at practice. This Rams team all of a sudden looks pretty formidable. They went into Indianapolis. They got a huge lead. They blew the lead, but had the resilience to come back and win the game in overtime.
Yeah,
the Rams are going to be a little scary team to go up against this week. I got news for you guys. I predicted this to be a loss before the season started when we were going over the wins and losses. This was the hiccup I had them at. I wouldn't be surprised if they went out to Los Angeles and lost this football game. I damn sure don't think they're covering 4.5. They win this game. I think they win it by the skin of their teeth. But let's break it down. What does the Philadelphia Eagles offense need to do to capitalize on the Rams defense? Godfrey, I'll start with you.
Well, they got to neutralize Aaron Donald. I mean, that's the first thing you're looking at when you're looking at the LA Rams, right? And part of the way you do that is run the ball. A mano. Take them out of the comfort of, rushing the passer, get the ball out quick. I think passes to Dallas Goedert, more passes to, I sound like a broken record, but screen passes in the flat to the backs, Gainwell, Swift, definitely to set up the deep ball down the field. They have beatable corners. Their offense isn't really stout outside of, your stalwarts like, Aaron Donald. So you can score on these guys. It is possible. And I saw, the Niners put up points on them, and I damn sure think Jalen Hurts is a better quarterback than Brock Purdy. So I definitely think it's possible. You just got to stick to your game. I don't know. I don't know if they have the manpower to stick with the Eagles as, offense versus defense. Our offensive line is the best in the game. Some people will say top 2 if you want to argue that. And I think you're definitely going to run the ball here, more so than last week. And I think it's going to be more of a balanced attack. And that's, I think, the way you got to go at this Rams defense.
I think the one person you really have to look out for on this Rams defense is Ernest Jones. I think he's emerged as one of the better players on that defense. He was a 3rd-round pick just a few years ago. He's 23 years old. He's been in their organization now for 2 years. He has been incredible. He's actually been way better than what anyone's projected him to be. I remember him coming out of South Carolina. Ernest Jones has had a very good year for the Los Angeles Rams, and you got to look out for him at the linebacker position. So I'll start there. In order for the Philadelphia Eagles to win this football game, I would double team Aaron Donald every single play. There'd never be a play where he did not see a double team. It'd be Jason Kelce and Landon Dickerson every single play. No matter where he lines up, I'd find a way to double team him and bracket him. Also, the best way to beat the Los Angeles Rams is to run at him, not run away from him. You have to bully him with 2 people and run at him. If you run away from him, he's going to disrupt a lot more on the back end than what you're used to. So I'd run at him. I'd run the football. The Colts, who has nowhere near as a good offensive line, nowhere near as good a running back, ran the ball 20 times for, I think it was like 140 yards between Anthony Richardson and Zach Moss. I think they did a very good job running the football there. And, if I'm looking at the Philadelphia Eagles offense, I think the key to the game is to control the pass rush of Aaron Donald. Don't let him be a disruptor, and run the football to be able to set up play action to get those cornerbacks in the box. I want those safeties in the box. When they put that 7th, 8th guy in the box, you have the big play opportunities with Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. But I would run the football until they showed me they could stop it.
Yeah, Cam Jurgens, is he how serious is his injury? I know he's not going to play this week, right?
Who?
I mean, so Cam Jurgens.
Oh, Cam.
No, I don't think he's playing.
Yeah, I know he did not practice, but I don't know if he's on the
He's week to
IR.
week with a foot injury.
Yeah.
Expected to miss multiple weeks. Sua Opeta will be in there.
Gotcha.
Fletcher Cox probably going to sit there.
Yeah, but Fletcher Cox is probably not going to play with the epidural he needed to get.
No.
Still won't give Steen any playing time. So whatever. Draft a kid and don't want to play him.
Oh yeah, you're right.
I don't like that.
I hear you
at all.
I feel like the Eagles team, maybe it's because of their experience, but I feel like they do not want to put rookies out there early in their career. They really, really shy away from playing them. They make sure they're 100% ready. They give them as much time and practice as they can. I think this game is going to be super close, and I think the biggest issue is going to be control in the middle of the field, whether it's Puka Nacua or Cooper Kupp going across the middle in that slot, or Tyler Higbee. I think control in the middle of the field is going to be the Eagles' big. I think if the only way the Rams win this game is if it's high scoring.
Yeah, I agree. You know, it's Nacua. I got some stories about him next. I mean, what do you think? What do you think the plan of attack should be to take this Ram squad out? This resurgent Ram squad.
You definitely have to run the ball. I'd run it at him. I'd run him away from him. I'd run it beside him. I'd run the ball 25 plus times minimum in this game. I would also attack the level right behind him. So when he comes for the pass rush, I would attack the spot that he's vacating. I would be running crossing routes, short curls, and different things in that area, quick slants, because that's an area just like when we play Michael Parsons that should be available. If you hit those passes quickly, and then also if Hurts needs to have that clock, you get a couple of seconds in, you see him coming, you need to take off the other way.
I hear that. By the way, this will be a home game for the Eagles away. I don't know if real Rams fans exist. If you say you're a Rams fan, I want to see pictures of your grandma in a corduroy leisure suit from the 70s with Ron Jaworski Ram posters on the wall to prove that you're an actual Rams fan, because anybody who's a Rams fan, they're like, they're a hobo walking down the street looking for a team. Like I think Freddie might be a Rams fan soon. I can see that happening. Maybe he'll jump from the Giants because they're so bad. But yeah, this will be a home game for the Eagles. You will hear more cheers for Eagles plays than you will hear for LA Rams plays. It's a constant for the Chargers. It's a constant for the Rams. It sucks, but they don't really have a fan base. I mean, I think the Chargers have a fan base, but they're stuck in San Diego. That's not like going over the bridge for you. That's a pretty far drive. So unfortunately for the Rams, but fortunately for the Eagles, and Philadelphia fans like to travel. And you know how we do if you watch that baseball game last night. Did for sport, but I'm just saying, we don't play. So
the highest seats in the house are worth $172 in SoFi, and that's because the Philadelphia Eagles are coming to town. You look at their normal weeks and how much their tickets cost in that stadium. They're right now, non-prime time game, they're the most expensive ticket in the house, and that's because Philadelphia is coming to town, supplying them in.
And you know what's crazy about that is, like, you might say to yourself, it's expensive to go to Eagles game. It might be cheaper to cop a plane, go to that game in LA, get a hotel room for a couple nights, have yourself a nice little trip, and come back. I'm serious. That's that big of a spread. Like, especially if you're talking about the top seats. I've seen that all over. But yeah, that's amazing, Gene, to me. Like, so there's an advantage there. I don't know if that really plays into the Rams' head, but I agree with the points you guys are making on offense. I mean,
the Rams always those fans always sell their tickets. They're like, I'm gonna make this money. I ain't worried about the team winning. I'm just trying to make this money.
Man, fair weather fans. They're probably giving away that tickets like with a pack of hot dogs. That's what they used to do back in the day when the Phillies were bad and they had 70,000 seats. Like, oh, you want to go to the Phillies? Buy a pack of Frank's hot dogs, and you get 2 free tickets. They give you 4 free tickets in the back of a pack of hot dogs. I kid you not. This back in the day. That's it. Like, beautiful stadium, but to me, I mean, you hear it all the time. The loyal fan bases that have been around for a while, they'll just swallow that stadium up. Steelers, 49ers, Eagles, Giants. I would say even Washington. They'll travel out there. Maybe not Washington. But
Well,
so what do we?
the good news is Nakobe Dean was back at practice yesterday. He'll be as soon as IR is over, as soon as his 4 weeks is up, he'll be right back in the start line, which should be after this week. So you'll get him back for next week, which I can't wait.
Yeah, I think we'll see a difference there. I don't know if you're going to see the difference on the stat sheet specifically for him, but you'll see a difference in the overall defense, I think, with him being out there, in my opinion.
I agree.
And I'm excited about him coming back. But let's talk about it. Let's talk about the defense. Like, what does the defense need to do?
Pray.
To stop these guys. Pray? You think pray?
I honestly do. I really think that the Philadelphia – and so, like, everybody's making this matchup out to be Puka Nacua versus Darius Slay. They'll be lined up against each other 6 times this entire game. Puka Nacua lines up in the slot almost the entire game until Cooper Kupp's back. If Cooper Kupp's back for the game, then Cooper Kupp will be in the slot and Puka Nacua will be on the side of Cooper Kupp. So then you can see Puka Nacua versus Darius Slay. But then you have a whole nother world to worry about with Cooper Kupp coming across the middle. Tyler Higbee has had 10 targets last game. The middle of the field is where Matthew Stafford eats. He loves throwing. He locks into a slot receiver, and they're going to abuse the Philadelphia Eagles middle. And I know they are. The way to win this game is pray. Get after the quarterback quick. Disguise your defenses. I don't think the Eagles are going to stop the Rams hardly at all. I love the over in this football game. I think between the two teams, they score over 60 points. Defensively, Sean Desai's got his work cut out for him.
I'll give you a prop bet if you want a prop bet.
Sure.
That you can bet on Matthew Stafford throwing 1 interception.
Okay.
He's led the league.
I know you hate him. I get it.
No, it's not about hate. He led the league in interceptions his Super Bowl year. He was hurt last year. He throws interceptions. He always has.
He does.
100%, especially when, as you said, he lives over the middle of the field. That's more of a high traffic area. Fortunately, with the Eagles, it's kind of like a passing door that you could go through. But,
you can also rely on with Matthew Stafford. He's going to throw one ball that's going to be so good, so pretty, so strong, so hard that no defender is going to be able to catch up with his own.
Yeah, and he's got good ball placement for sure. The thing about this, that what they need to do to stop them is you have to get after the quarterback. You have to move Matthew Stafford off a spot because one thing he's not known for is being fast, right? So that what I worry about here is, the rotation being thinner, with you got Fletcher Cox hurt. That's not great, and you're going to need Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, do that. They're going to run the ball in the red zone specifically. The Rams like to do that. They like to make a high percentage play in the red zone. Kyron Williams, he's not a dominating back, but he's getting a large share of the touches, pretty much like 95% of it. He's questionable this week, so then you got to deal with Ronnie Rivers, their backup. And, again, not someone who strikes fear in your heart, but, they're going to run the ball. They're going to do the slants. But if you get after the quarterback, because some of these routes that they do are long developing routes, not all of them, but some of them. And if you move them off the spot, it's got to be a lot harder to do that. And that's what you got to do to produce that turnover that I think you can bet on. And I think Stafford is more than capable of compiling the stats and winning the game. But I think the Eagles, if they get after the quarterback and move him off the spot, they will win the game because, Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp are one and the same. I don't know if people notice or not. I was all over Puka Nacua coming out of the draft because they share the same wide receiver coach as Kupp. It's no accident that he was drafted there in LA. That was on purpose. Kupp had the guy at Utah. Now the guy's at BYU. That's where Nacua went. And, also Puka Nacua, Dana White's nephew. Believe that or not. So, funny thing is I don't know what his role will be. I think he's earned a strong enough role showing what he's been able to do while Kupp is out to be on the field. So those are your 1-2s. But, the thing that we just talked about is the Eagles got to correct over the middle. And that's definitely they're going to be their attack point in the pass game. And it does have me worried. I do think 4.5 is tough. If the Eagles win, it's by 3. I don't think it's out of this world, but I do think there's the X factor in this game of turnover. And, listen, Stafford is a good quarterback, but he's not afraid. The reason why he gets turnovers is it's not like Daniel Jones turnovers. He's just not afraid to take a shot, and he plays aggressively that way. And I'm not going to fault the guy for that. So it's not a turnover where like, he shouldn't have thrown that ball like that Daniel Jones turnover to Witherspoon. That was awful on the Monday Night Football game, right? It's like, hey, he's trying to fit it into a window. He's taking a chance. He's trying to make a play happen. And you can do that with him, and you can tip the ball up, and I could smell a Darius Slay play coming. I could just smell it. So I think the Eagles have to attack up. You got to attack up the middle. You have to move them off the spot. That is the way to win a game.
Well, they have the people that can attack them up the middle. Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter are definitely those guys, and Milt Williams should see some extended snaps this week.
What was his nickname in college again, Gene?
What'd you say?
What was his nickname in college, Milton Williams?
T-Rex.
Oh, short arms.
But he's played great.
He has.
Better than
Yeah,
I give him credit.
Good for him. So I guess now we got our final score predictions going, right?
Sure.
Cool. You want to start us off with that? Let us know what you think the score is going to be.
So I'm going to go 34-20 Eagles.
It's a lot of points. Okay. Gene, what do you say? Where do you think?
37-34 Rams.
37-34 Rams. That is. Man, we're going to be stressed during that game. We are going to be stressed. It opened up at -6 Eagles. Now it's 4.5. The total is 49. Listen, I'm going 31-24 Eagles. I think the Eagles will cover. I think they'll win. I just think there's going to be turnovers are going to be the name of the game. Whoever turns the ball over more is going to lose the game. And I just think you can get that out of Stafford, because Stafford's not afraid to gamble. He's just not.
34-30 Eagles. I changed it.
34-30. Okay. All right.
Changing it. I can't pick against my birds. Although my gut tells me the Eagles definitely don't cover. And anything 34-30 Eagles. They stopped that last touchdown. They get a turnover on the last drive.
Gotcha. Anyway, so let's jump into this counterfeit green, because listen, guys, if you want to hear us talk more football, we will cover the whole NFL in its entirety on the next show, Sideline. The Sideline will be going live at 7 o'clock, and we'll take you right up to the kickoff of the Chicago Bears versus, I don't know why it's drawing a blank here. Washington Commanders.
So
yeah.
Real quick, before we get in counterfeit green, can I ask you guys a question just to rank them? I want you to rank the NFC East quarterbacks in order of, and obviously we all have Jalen Hurts, because if we're starting a franchise today, you have Jalen Hurts 1.
Just NFC East, right?
Yes. Correct.
Okay.
Cool.
Yep. Hurts 1. I'll give my whole list right now if you want it.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Hurts 1, Howell 2, RDP 3, and Daniel Jones 4. And you might ask why I'm putting RDP 3. Because we know who he is. Sam Howell is still ascending as a quarterback. He still has more of that magical P word, and not the dirty one, potential.
Promise.
Or potential, promise, whichever.
I know. I just want that a different P word.
So that's why I'm going to put him second.
I'm going to go Hurts 1. I'm going to go Prescott 2. I have to go Prescott 2 because I just need to see more from Howell. I know he rebounded week over week from Buffalo to Eagles, but I need to see more from him. As much as I rag on Dak Prescott, there's still going to be a floor he's going to give you that I don't know if I could count on that floor from Sam Howell. And then I'm going to go Howell 3 and John and Danny Penny's 4.
I have the same order. I have I wanted to see if somebody else had Daniel Jones 4, but it looks like all three of us do. I've had Daniel Jones 4, and I had the Giants in the basement the entire year. So
how bad do they look, right? Like I thought they'd be a little bit better. And when you watch that game, it's like, they haven't gotten any like over the top receiver, but they think they're going to be able to run the offense. And you see how big Saquon is to that offense. Every pass is parallel to the line, and they think their guys are going to get yards after the catch, and they're not. And you're like watching that game, and Daniel Jones got paid, and it just shows what happens in a league that's a copycat league, right? Like they were like, we have to get our quarterback. They didn't have to pay him that money. They could have franchised his ass and be like, show it to me again. They could have did to him what the Jets did to Fitzpatrick the year he almost got into the playoffs with the Jets, and instead they're going to be with him for at least 3 years. And it's already blowing up.
Year and a half.
He's
out of contract after next year.
That's right. So yeah, that's true. So it's not a horrible contract, but it's still at the end of the day, like you got Brian Dable for just throwing the surface in the middle of the air. Like he's like, if I were the Giants, and people are going to say I'm crazy for this, it might not work right now because he's backing up a guy that's hurt. If I was Dable, I would trade Pittsburgh for Mitch Trubisky. And you're gonna be like, whoa, Mitch Trubisky. I'm not saying he's a world beater, but he worked with him in Buffalo. He knows the system, and I think he's a more competent quarterback to run the offense than Daniel Jones. And it won't cost you a lot. Right now, it'd be hard to get him from Pittsburgh because of what's going on. If they want to save their season and be competitive, otherwise, man, it's just they're awful. I mean, Drew Lock came in off the bench and said, "Let me show you what I can do." Like they gave up touchdowns to two different quarterbacks, or touchdown drives to two different quarterbacks that night. And I know it's because Gino was hurt, but Drew Lock came off and looked good against them. So I don't know where they go. I mean, Saquon, I guess, does make that big a difference, man. It's ugly in New York.
Rest in peace, Dick Butkus. He just passed away today.
Oh man,
breaking news.
Earlier.
Legend.
I saw it a little while ago, but I didn't want to.
I just want
to go to the show. Yeah,
I know who Dick Butkus is.
Let's get into counterfeit green. Right here, we have like 3 minutes left. I have one. Do you have one, Godfrey?
I got one. Go ahead, shoot. You want to throw it off?
I'll start it off. My counterfeit green is players that think they're better than fans because they're professional athletes. In the wake of Evan Neal's comments on Monday night, when he said, when you're a lion, what you shouldn't care about the opinion of sheep. Who are those people that boo me? They flip hot dogs and hamburgers. They also pay your salary, Evan. And if they stop showing up to games and they boycott you, you won't be in the league anymore. So my counterfeit green is athletes that think they're better than fans. I think they're too good to conversate or respond to the fans that pay their salary.
You got a counterfeit green there, cool?
I do. My counterfeit green is San Francisco fans. The way that they're acting right now, all we got to do is change their jersey to blue and white, and they're acting just like Arlington football team fans.
Dead right. I said that last year. I agree with you 100%.
I feel my counterfeit green. I thought I went through a couple ones, but my counterfeit green here is, Eagles fans, like, relax. Like, I know it's not perfect, but like, I still hear people after being 4-0. They're talking about this team like, they're just hanging on by the thread. Stop. Like, you got to have perspective and look at season over season and understand that Jalen Hurts is still going to be going through growth. He's not a finished product, as he should not be ever in his career, because in the NFL, defenses will adjust to what you show them. Therefore, good quarterbacks like himself has to adjust to how they're going to play them, right? If
winning
a quarterback
games in the NFL is a tough thing to do.
Yeah, but I wanted to mention that. But my real counterfeit green is radio show hosts who hype up their crowd to be homers. And I want to talk. I forget the guy's name, and his name isn't important. Last year, I remember Giants playing the Eagles in the playoffs. He was like, "We got a good team now. Daniel Jones is a good quarterback. The Giants are going to go into Philly, and they're going to beat them. I really believe it." And I was looking at this guy. This guy is an actual radio host. I'm like, how can you be credible and say that to your fan base? And just, if you watch football, there's no way you believe that. And right now, when you look at the Giants, after this guy made that comment, they haven't eclipsed, like 60 points total in all their games. Like they are a dumpster fire. So if you are, a takesman and you're just making takes that aren't real because you just want clicks, views, and all that, you're counterfeit green. That's what I got to say about that.
We'll be back next week to give you more Birds talk. Check out Cole on Eagles Elite, the Play Callers podcast. My guy is on fire. The NFC East, the NFC Beast. He's all over the place. Check him out. Taking it Deep with D. Godfrey. I haven't seen the Taking it Deep episode.
We're on sabbatical, but we'll be back.
We miss it. And then you can check us out on Sideline to Sideline in just 5 minutes. Tune right in. Appreciate everybody tuning in this week. I'm Gene Walzak. That's Cool McCain. That's D. Godfrey. And we are